everybody and welcome on today's video. Today is January the 2nd, 2025, and as you see I bought a big Scots pine. It's not a grafted one, it's just a seedling, couple of years old of course, and well, my plan is to make that into a bonsai. And well, there are some challenges of course, because it's a rather big tree. I potted it up and I intend to do some primary cuts, because this tree has some, well, issues of course. It's not a bonsai yet, and it's gonna take years before we have a good material to work with. So step one was spotting this tree up in nice draining soil with some compost, with some pine bark, with some pumice, with some grit, everything. And now I'm going to make a few important cuts, I think, and I'm going to try to explain why I make these cuts. I'm going to try to film this as best as I can, because you can imagine that this is not simple. Yeah, let's crack on and see what's going on here. So this is gonna be some tricky filming, and I'm trying to stay behind the camera to show you what's, well, so that you can see what should be seen. So you probably already thought that I marked with a little piece of bamboo what I think is the front, but that can change. So a few issues with this tree. So obviously, because this is a field grown tree, it has a nice thick trunk, which is, well, this is my hand, so gives you an idea. So this can become a rather big tree. But of course, I'm going to turn this, as you probably can see here, there are these monstrous curling roots around the trunk, which I must of course get rid of in the coming years. But this will be a very gradual process, because yeah, you don't want to cut off the roots of a pine. So that's one thing. Now, positive thing is that we have a quite natural bend here. There's some movement in the trunk. You can probably see that too. Trying to zoom in a little. So you see there's a nice curve, which we will try to use as a feature. But if we use that as a feature, well, obviously we have these horrible roots, which we could fix in time. That's possible. We're going to look at the other side now. I guess you don't see anything, because, well, there's a couple of big branches there. So I thought that this might be a interesting front, because we have a rather you don't see anything. We have a rather interesting movement in the trunk here. Watch out! You see? And the roots are not that defectuous, so that could be a good front. Okay, so movement of the trunk and the roots flare. I'm going to try to move up the camera now. We're not really following the best trunk line, but it gives us an idea about what we are encountering. And one thing that is quite important is exactly this spot. So you see that the main trunk is having some nice movement here. It's quite thick here. It's 3.5 centimeter, and here we have a big piece, and it gets thin very quickly, and then it opens up in a whole lot of smaller branches, which could become, one of them could become a apex. Now that means that we have a tree up to here. So I'm going to get the camera back so that you can see the complete thing. So if we do that, we have a tree from here to here, which is a big tree, which might be a too big tree, I think. Excuse me. So you see there's some green here, but that's one of these side branches that I put here with a piece of wire. But from here to here there's absolutely nothing growing, which is not good. Also, nothing grows here, and from here to here the taper is not great. Now I need, of course, to have a top on this tree, and it is always possible to make something bigger in a tree by letting it grow, and it is extremely difficult to make things thinner. So the only way to get this thin is to get the trunk lower down much bigger. Well, this won't get thinner, but the difference between the two will be bigger. But I don't think that's good, because if you look closely here, I have a branch that is growing quite upright. It's much thinner, and I could make a top out of this. Now you're gonna say, well, that's too much taper, this is big and this is really thin. Yeah, that's true, but I can make this grow bigger. And it's gonna take years, of course, but I mean, this is a nice piece of material. I'm not going to do some stupid things and be hasty, so I think this is going to be the leader. So I'm gonna cut this off right now. Alright, so I'm going to use this instead of ratcheting pruners, for the simple reason that I don't have a ratcheting pruners. So of course this is going to be a big reduction of the tree. Warning, the first one screaming big cut coming up will be kicked off the channel. So let's go. Alright, well, that clears the tree out, that's for sure. Now, of course, this is a quite big decision, but as you see, this branch is quite thin and also very flexible, so it means that I can do whatever I want. And if you look at the top of this branch here, I don't know if this is on camera, yeah, well, you see that I have a few branches and a top, which means that I can choose for example, this one as a top, and this gets to be a side branch or a back branch or whatever. But I want this to thicken up, and probably if it grows well, I'll reduce it a little to have more options here. Yeah, so now another important thing is to select the branches, well, to remove the branches that you will never use. As you see, I left a big stump. It will probably die back naturally, so it makes it a lot safer to remove it when it dies back. And I can always make a gin if I want, so I'm leaving up my options now. Now, what we see here, for example, if we see it on camera, I don't know, here, yep. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 branches coming out of the same place. So that's a little bit too much. So I think I'm going to remove one here. Won't use that. And a small one here. I even have a little one here, but that's all I'm going to do. This tree needs foliage to grow. But I need to be a little bit selective. So if you can see here in the back, there's also a branch that is not desirable. It's going straight up, so this is never going to be a usable branch, and it's blocking out a lot of the light. And then we have this enormous branch here that I cannot use ever. So here it goes. I have small branches here. These are the ones that I want to keep. And I'm just going to remove a few of these at the outside. Also too big, too leggy. All right. So that's the first round for this tree. I still think that this is a nice front, but it will all depend on the roots and the movement of the trunk. So this can also be a nice front because we have nice roots here and also nice movement in the trunk, as you see. But this root needs to be taken care of. On the other side, you see that this top is now very flexible. I can go everywhere I want, and of course I'm going to wire this. Not everyone wires conifers. Well, you do whatever you want. I don't care at all. But I think that you cannot make a conifer look good without any wire. So that's round one. Maybe in the summer, when I see that the first flush is hardened off, I can reduce some stuff back. I can start to work on the roots, and by working on the roots I don't mean that I'm going to repot this tree. This tree will stay in this pot for a year or two, depending how well it grows, but I can always say that I'm going to get half of this root off just with my knob cutters, and then of course the tree will reorient its sap flow and find other channels. So it's a work in progress. It's a nice tree. I don't have any decent Scott spine, so I'm going to really take my time to do something nice with this one. And that's it for today. So thank you for watching and see you next time.